The house was still warm when I found it. That should have been impossible. The power had been out for weeks. The street was dead. The windows were boarded. There was no smoke from the chimney, no generator outside, no candles, no people. But when I stepped through the back door, the kitchen was warm. Not just warmer than outside, warm like somebody had been cooking there minutes before. I stood in the doorway with my crowbar raised, listening. No footsteps, no breathing, no infected, just the soft ticking of a clock on the wall. That was the first thing that felt wrong. The clock was still ticking. I almost laughed when I saw it. A cheap round kitchen clock, white plastic, one battery inside, still moving. Still counting time like the world hadn't ended. It said 6:12 p.m. I remembered that clearly, because outside it was almost midnight. I thought maybe the battery was dying. Maybe the hands had stopped earlier and started again when I hit the wall opening the door. Maybe anything. You learn to explain things away after enough time in Knox County. You have to. If you don't, you start seeing patterns everywhere. And patterns get people killed. I found the house north of Rosewood. Small place, one floor, white siding, red mailbox, detached garage, a broken swing set in the backyard. It looked like every other family house I had looted, except this one had no bodies, no blood trail, no broken furniture, no signs of panic. Even the curtains were closed neatly, like someone left for work and planned to come back before dinner. I almost skipped it. Clean houses scared me more than destroyed ones. Destroyed houses made sense. People ran, people fought, people died. Clean houses felt like traps. But I had been walking for 2 days. My water was low. My left boot was splitting open. And I hadn't slept more than 20 minutes at a time since the highway. So I went in. The back door was locked. I broke the small kitchen window and reached through to unlock it. The moment I opened the door, warm air touched my face. I froze immediately. Outside was cold enough to see my breath. Inside felt like late summer. I stepped in slowly. The kitchen smelled like old wood, dust, and something else. Soup. Not fresh exactly. Not strong. But there. Vegetables. Salt. Heat. I checked the stove. Cold. Checked the oven. Cold. Checked the microwave. Dead. No power. No flame. No explanation. There was a pot on the stove. Empty. Clean. Too clean. I touched the metal. It was warm. I pulled my hand back instantly. That was when I should have left. But I didn't. Because the cupboards were full. Canned beans. Rice. Peanut butter. 2 bottles of bourbon. Medical supplies in the bathroom. A box of shotgun shells in the bedroom closet. Whoever lived there had prepared. And then vanished. I cleared the house room by room. Kitchen. Living room. Bathroom. Bedroom. Closets. Under the bed. Nothing. No basement. No attic hatch. No second floor. No place for someone to hide. Still the house felt occupied. Not haunted. Not at first. Occupied. Like I had walked into someone's home while they were in the next room. I kept expecting a voice to call out. I kept expecting someone to ask what I was doing there. But nobody did. So I did what survivors do. I took inventory. I stacked food by the door. Filled my bottles. Checked the windows. Moved the dresser in front of the back entrance. Pushed the couch against the front door. Then I sat in the living room with my shotgun across my lap and tried to stay awake. The warmth made it harder. That was the strange thing. The longer I stayed inside, the more comfortable the house felt. My hands stopped shaking. My shoulders relaxed. The pain in my feet faded. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel hunted. I remember thinking maybe I can sleep here. Just one night. That sentence has nearly killed me more times than any zombie. Just one night. Around 1 a.m. I woke up on the couch. I didn't remember falling asleep. The shotgun was still in my hands. The room was dark. The house was silent. And the kitchen clock was ticking. Loud now. Too loud. Tick, tick, tick. I sat up slowly. The clock still said 6:12. The second hand moved. But the minute hand didn't. Tick, tick, tick. Always 6:12. I stood up and walked toward the kitchen. That was when I noticed the smell again. Soup. Stronger this time. Fresh. Hot. I raised the shotgun and turned the corner. The pot was back on the stove. I had moved it earlier. I know I did. I put it inside the sink after checking it. But now it was sitting on the front burner. Steam rising from it. Slow. Thin. White. The burner was off. The house had no power. But the soup was boiling. I stood there for maybe 10 seconds just watching it. Then the clock stopped. No ticking. No wind. No infected outside. Nothing. The soup stopped boiling at the same moment. The steam vanished, and the house went cold. Not slowly. Immediately, like someone opened every door at once. I backed away from the stove. Then I heard a chair move in the dining room, a slow scrape across the floor. I turned. The dining table was empty. 4 chairs. One of them pulled out. Just a little, like someone had stood up. I whispered, "Hello." I hated myself for saying it, but the word came out before I could stop it. No answer. Then something knocked from inside the wall. 3 times. Not loud. Not aggressive. Polite. Knock. 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 I pointed the shotgun toward the wall beside the table. Old wallpaper. Faded flowers. Water stains. Nothing else. Then the knocking came again. This time from the opposite wall. Knock. 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 Then from the ceiling. Knock. 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 Then from under the floor. Knock. 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 The house was answering itself. I moved toward the back door. The dresser was still blocking it. I had to leave. I didn't care about the supplies anymore. But when I grabbed the dresser, it wouldn't move. Not stuck. Held. Like someone on the other side was pushing back. I pulled harder. The wood scraped maybe an inch. Then something pulled from the other side. The dresser slammed back into place. I fell backward. The kitchen clock started ticking again. Tick, tick, tick. Still 6:12. Then a voice spoke from the hallway. Soft, almost sleepy. "You're early, Dot." I stopped moving. The voice sounded like a woman. Not old. Not young. Just tired. I aimed down the hallway. Nothing there. Bedroom door closed. Bathroom door open. Darkness between them. I said nothing. The voice spoke again. "Dinner isn't ready, Dot." That scared me more than a scream would have. Because it sounded normal. Like she was annoyed. Like I was a guest who arrived too soon. I stood up slowly. The shotgun felt useless in my hands. The hallway light flickered once. There was no power, but it flickered anyway. For half a second I saw someone standing at the end of the hall. A woman in a dirty yellow dress. Bare feet. Head tilted slightly. Face hidden by wet hair. Then the light went out. The hallway was empty again. I ran to the front door. The couch blocked it. I shoved it aside with everything I had. Something in the kitchen laughed. Not loud. Not evil. Just a small laugh. Like I had done something embarrassing. I got the couch away from the door. Unlocked the deadbolt. Pulled the handle. The door opened 6 inches and stopped. A chain lock. I never put a chain on that door. There hadn't been one earlier. I looked through the gap. Outside was not the street. Not the yard. Not Rosewood. It was the kitchen. My kitchen. The same stove. The same pot. The same clock. I slammed the door shut. My breathing got so loud I could barely hear anything else. Then the kitchen clock rang. Not like an alarm clock. Like a dinner bell. Sharp. Metallic. Once. Then again. Then again. I turned around. The dining table was set now. 4 plates. 4 forks. 4 glasses. A candle in the middle. Lit. I hadn't placed any of it there. The pulled-out chair faced me. Waiting. The woman's voice came from behind me. "Sit down, Dot." I fired the shotgun into the hallway. The blast destroyed the wallpaper and filled the house with smoke. My ears rang. The candle went out. For 1 second everything was dark. Then the kitchen clock started ticking again. Tick, tick, tick. I didn't wait. I smashed the living room window with the shotgun stock and climbed through. Blast cut my arm. I landed in the wet grass outside. Real grass. Real cold air. Real rain. I almost cried from relief. Then I looked back at the house. All the windows were dark. No candle. No woman. No movement. The back door was still boarded. The front door still closed. It looked empty. But the kitchen window was fogged from the inside. Warm air pressing against cold glass. And on the fogged glass someone had written with one finger, "You forgot your plate." I ran. I ran through the trees behind the house until my lungs burned. I didn't stop until I reached the road. The dead heard the shotgun and started moving toward the house. Dozens of them. Maybe more. They came out of the trees. From the road. From behind abandoned cars. All drawn by the sound. I hid behind a wreck and watched them surround the place. They reached the windows, the doors, the porch, and then they stopped. Every infected stopped moving at once. They didn't bang on the glass, didn't scratch the wood, didn't moan. They just stood there, facing the house, like they were waiting to be invited in. The kitchen light turned on, warm yellow. A shadow moved behind the curtain. The front door opened. Slowly, the infected walked inside one by one. Quietly. No pushing, no biting, no noise. Like guests entering a home. I watched until the last one disappeared through the door. Then the door closed. The house went dark again. I stayed hidden until morning. When the sun came up, I told myself I imagined most of it. I was tired, hungry, bleeding. Maybe the infected had broken in. Maybe someone lived there and I scared them. Maybe the house had a generator I missed. Maybe the clock was broken. Maybe, always maybe, I went back at daylight. I know, that was stupid. But I had left my bag inside. My maps. My shells. My antibiotics. Without them I was dead anyway. The house looked normal in the morning. Cold. Empty. Quiet. The front door was locked. No footprints on the porch. No broken glass where I climbed out. The living room window was perfectly intact. I stood outside staring at it. There was no hole. No blood. No broken pieces in the grass. Like I had never escaped. Like the house had reset itself. I should have walked away. Instead I broke the window again. Same window. Same sound. Same kitchen smell waiting inside. Warm soup. I climbed in. The living room was exactly how I first found it. Couch in place. Dining table empty. No candle. No plates. The kitchen clock ticked softly. It said 6:11. I froze. The minute hand moved. One click. 6:12. The ticking stopped. The hallway light flickered. And from the kitchen the woman whispered, "You came back hungry." I ran to the bedroom. Grabbed my bag from the closet. It was heavier than before. I opened it. Inside were my supplies. And a plate. White ceramic. Clean. Empty. My name was scratched into the center. Not my real name. The name I had carved into a safe house wall months earlier. A name nobody living should know. I dropped the plate. It didn't break. It landed flat on the floor, then slid slowly toward the hallway, like someone pulled it with invisible fingers. I left the bag. I left everything. I climbed out the bedroom window and ran again. This time I didn't stop for hours. By nightfall I reached an old ranger station near the woods. Cold place. Concrete floor. No kitchen. No dining table. No clock. I thought that mattered. For 3 days nothing happened. No suit smell. No ticking. No voice. I started to believe the house was behind me. Then on the fourth night I woke up warm. Too warm. The ranger station smelled like vegetables and salt. I sat up in the dark. There was a kitchen clock hanging on the wall. It had not been there before. White plastic. Cheap. Ticking. It said 6:12. On the floor in front of me was a white plate. My name scratched into the center. And from somewhere outside the room the woman whispered, "Dinner is ready."